We didn't really have many disease problems in here last year, so I'm a little less concerned about carryover, simply because we do a pretty good job of staying on top of it.
Burley Tobacco Growers Cooperative Association, cooperative.
Prior to the buyout, that was the agency that administered the program. You may have heard some of the growers talk about their quota. That's a term that you don't hear anymore. Since the buyout in 2004, growers don't have a quota anymore. But the co-op was the agency that administered the program, or the quota. And after the buyout, they sort of became like another receiving station. They already had an inventory of tobacco that they had purchased, because under the quota system, tobacco that was not purchased by any company was purchased by the co-op. The co-op is farmer owned and funded by farmers prior to the buyout. Everybody paid a small assessment for every pound that they sold, then that money was used to fund the co-op. So after the buyout went through, the co-op had a lot of tobacco in hand, and they were able to establish some export markets for that tobacco, and they're still buying tobacco today, just like another receiving station. They don't offer contracts, but if you have some tobacco that the companies reject for whatever reason, you can try and sell it through the co-op, and then of course they will market it on to end users either here or abroad. So we built this greenhouse here in 2005, and then in 2006 we built one at the school. But we started with site preparation, and I don't know whether you can tell it or not, we had to take out about 3 feet of fill on this end, and we had to move it all to that end because that end was that much lower.
Keep it level.
So once we got the site level, we set up some batter boxes, put up a mason line, squared our building site, and then there's a pipe right here. It's 4 feet long, and we drove it in the ground all but about the last 10 inches. Sometimes we bore out a hole and set them in concrete. In this particular instance, we just drove them in the clay.
What's the average cost for to build a greenhouse like this?
This one was about $10,000. A lot of lumber.
In the event that this rips or tears through and through?
I have some patch tape. Depends on how severe the tear is. But it is one piece, and it is only supposed to last about 3 years, and this is the 4th.
Well, I don't have exactly what we were looking for,
but it'll work.
I think I got a hodgepodge thing here to make it work.
What are you using that one for?
That's how I measure the field. Well, I have
come up with your acres?
I have a GPS too, but I like to do both. And by the way, the GPS is remarkably accurate. It'll come up to within a couple hundredths of an acre of what I come up with the wheel. He doesn't like the fact that all the bolts don't match.
I'm just a little bit OCD, just a little bit.
I'm the same way. If something's weird, I don't like it until I change it.
Where's that box of bolts at? Carriage bolts, galvanized. Hex nuts, steel.
Yeah.
Not compatible.
Right.
That nut barely started on that bolt. This is the reason we went to town to eat lunch, is so we could get these bolts to finish this job. Well, we got incompatible bolts and nuts. So what he did is he went up and rummaged through my pop's stash to find what he needed. But of course, they're not all the same. But we can at least get, we have to put that rail in before we start the water over here. Well, we can still walk in here. Oh yeah.
So they're starting to fill this one up now, huh? 100,000 seeds?
Yes.
Man, they got to be tiny, huh? Like mustard seeds or something.
They're coated. They're coated to about 5 times their original size, so we can do something with them.
$200?
Yep. It's gonna be real close, but that little box of seed should do this whole half. And then I've got another box of a different variety. 14 L8 is a hybrid. They crossed 14 on L8. It's a very old variety, but it's one of a handful of varieties that are said to be early maturing. And we use it simply because we want our early tobacco to be real early. And then we'll use a later maturing variety behind it to spread out the harvest. Because this stuff will get ready 2 to 3 weeks ahead of the other. So we're trying to stagger, starting with the seed all the way through eventually the stripping room to get it spread out. Alright, now pull the next one out a little bit. Perfect. I don't think that those guys are going to want plants from my bed. My bed plants will seed April 1 and be ready June 1. But not many guys are too turned on about setting tobacco in June. But setting tobacco in June means cutting in September.
That's a little late, huh?
I'm going to say September 15 you need to be done. And this past year it was October 15 before we got done. And most of that tobacco that went in that last month is what we had quality problems with. All of my early tobacco sold and got 1s and 2s on quality. That was the tobacco that was started here first week of March, went in the field the first week of May, went in the barn the first week of August, and we had it stripped out and ready to go by Thanksgiving. So this year, instead of doing 10 acres of early and 10 acres of late, I'm just going to do 20 acres of early. We got him sweeping off the weed mat. We don't want anything laying down there that can poke a hole in this plastic. I'm going to be putting some very expensive chemicals in that water, and I don't want to have to replenish them every day because it leaks. Some of them I can't replenish. I can't make multiple applications beyond what's on the label. So if it all leaks out, then it's a lost cause. It's very important not to have a leaker. Aside from being a pain, it could actually cost you the plants. That plastic's pretty tough. That's 6 mil. See the metal shavings? When we built my dad's greenhouse, my brother got one of them in his eye.
No. Not good.
That was a trip to the ER. I'll get made fun of for looking like a raccoon, because by the end of the summer I'll have white rings where my glasses are, but I'll have both eyes.
Yeah.
Self-drilling, self-tapping.
It's another time saver.
Find it? Find it?
Yeah. No, they find yours.
Really?
I got the old man. No, your jigsaw's under there, but not sawzall.
Is that what that was?
Yep.
Must be old man.
I bet it's in your